The war ended, but the silence that followed was worse than the bombs. When the smoke cleared in 1945, the world that emerged was unrecognizable. Cities were gone, borders erased, and victory felt like grief. The deadliest conflict in human history had stopped killing, but it hadn't stopped destroying. From Berlin to Hiroshima, London to Warsaw, the cost of war was written in ruins and in the hollowed hearts of those who survived. The final days of World War II weren't triumph, they were collapse. Berlin was a skeleton city, its streets crushed under rubble and iron. The Soviet army marched through the debris of Hitler's empire, boots crunching over glass and bone. Women wept in cellars, children scavenged for food, and soldiers stared blankly at the death of their thousand-year Reich across Europe. Victory meant only one thing: survival in slow motion. Germany had lost 6 million soldiers, but its true wound was the nation's soul. Allied bombing flattened over 3 million homes. Dresden, once called the Florence on the Elbe, was turned to ash in a single night so hot the asphalt melted. Hamburg, Cologne, Berlin, graveyards of bricks and ghosts. In some cities, 9 out of 10 residents were homeless. For years, Germans ate bread made from acorns and burned coffin wood to stay warm. Beyond Germany, entire nations disappeared. Poland, the first to fall and among the last to be free, lost 6 million people, half of them Jews. After the 1944 uprising, Warsaw wasn't just bombed. It was demolished, street by street, until 85% of it was gone. Survivors walked through a moonscape, searching for families that no longer existed. In the Soviet Union, the destruction defied comprehension. 27 million dead, whole towns erased, villages starved. Leningrad endured 872 days of siege, its people eating sawdust bread, rats, even wallpaper paste. When it ended, 1 million corpses lay frozen in the snow. And still, Stalin called it victory. Even the victors bled. London survived the Blitz 57 nights of bombing. Coventry vanished in a single raid. Children grew up in shelters, clutching gas masks instead of toys. When peace came, Britain was bankrupt. The empire that once spanned the globe now rationed food for nearly a decade. The parades hid a bitter truth. The war had drained the lifeblood of an empire. Then came August 6, 1945, Hiroshima. A lone B-29 dropped a 9,700-pound bomb named Little Boy, and in 2 seconds, the city ceased to exist. Rivers boiled. People became shadows on walls. By nightfall, 80,000 were gone. 3 days later, Nagasaki followed. The bomb that ended one war began another, the Cold War, a race to build faster, deadlier ways to end the world. For those beneath the mushroom cloud, there was no politics, only pain. Survivors, the hibakusha, lived decades with radiation sickness. Skin peeled like ash, cancer spread, children were born deformed. In the name of peace, humanity had redefined destruction. When soldiers came home, many found nothing waiting. Cities were gone, families missing, economies dead. In America, GIs brought back medals and nightmares. In Japan, men wandered burned streets in silence. In France, collaborators were shamed and paraded through towns. In Eastern Europe, liberation turned into occupation. Soviet troops stayed and the Iron Curtain fell. 75 million lives were lost, nearly the population of modern Germany. But numbers can't capture what it felt like to live after the war. A Polish mother trading her wedding ring for bread. A German boy scavenging rations among ruins. A Japanese girl planting flowers where her home once stood, refusing to believe life couldn't return. Europe became a continent of refugees. 11 million people with no home, no nation, no name. Trains overflowed with the displaced, Holocaust survivors, POWs, entire ethnic groups uprooted. Borders were redrawn in ink and blood. Germans were expelled from Czechoslovakia and Poland. Millions died walking west through snow. Poles and Ukrainians traded places in what historians call the largest forced migration in human history. Yet amid the ruins, rebirth began. Children studied in makeshift classrooms. Farmers dug unexploded bombs from their fields and planted wheat. The Marshall Plan poured billions into Western Europe, not purely from charity, but from fear that communism would grow in the hunger. American aid rebuilt factories and hope. Berlin, once the heart of darkness, became a city split in two, half capitalist, half communist, both haunted by ghosts. In Asia, old empires collapsed. Japan, stripped of its military, turned inward, rebuilding itself into an industrial powerhouse. Within 2 decades, the land that burned cities would sell electronics to the world. Beneath the success, silence, a vow to never speak of the war's crimes or the bomb's horror. China bled again in civil war. The seeds of Korea, Vietnam, and modern conflicts were sown in those ashes of 1945. For the United States, victory came with a shadow. The atomic bomb made it a superpower and a target. The Cold War dawned not with bullets, but with fear. School children practiced air raid drills, hiding under desks for a bomb that never came. Scientists who built it now begged to control it. Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, quoted the Bhagavad Gita. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Humanity had crossed a line it could never uncross. But the greatest cost wasn't in ruins or radiation, it was in silence. Millions carried trauma without language. PTSD wasn't understood. Men were told to be strong. Widows lived lifetimes with phantom husbands. Children grew up with photographs instead of fathers. Artists and writers tried to make sense of it. Picasso's Guernica, Camus' Despair, Orwell's Warnings. A century had lost faith in itself. When we say the war ended in 1945, what we mean is the killing stopped, but the consequences never did. The physical rebuilding took decades. The emotional rebuilding, perhaps, never ended. Every nuclear weapon today, every geopolitical rivalry, every border dispute in Europe and Asia, all trace back to those 6 burning years. And yet humanity endured. The same species that created Auschwitz and Hiroshima rebuilt Paris. Berlin and Tokyo, the same hands that dropped bombs built bridges. From the ashes rose the United Nations, the European Union, and a fragile hope that it would never happen again. Whether that hope succeeded, history hasn't answered. The bombs fell, the fires burned, and the world changed forever. What survived wasn't just cities or nations, but the unkillable instinct to endure. Because after all, the rubble was cleared and the smoke faded, one truth remained. Humans are capable of unimaginable destruction and unimaginable survival. The war may be over, but its echoes still live. In rebuilt cities, remembered names, and the silence that follows every explosion. The cost of war wasn't only in lives lost, but in what we became after. If this story moved you, subscribe for more untold chapters of history, the moments after the headlines ended when the real human story began. Because sometimes the aftermath speaks louder than the war itself.